Hello, friends. I'm Doug Terrell, and this is History and Comments. Today is Tuesday, the 31st and last day of August, 2021. 12 AD, the future Roman emperor, known by several names, Gaius or Caligula, is born. He will be emperor from 37 to 41 AD. Caligula seemed to get off to a reasonable start for the first 6 months, then things took a hard turn. History regards Caligula as an insane tyrant. He is assassinated in a coup attempt. Speaking of insane, cruel, and power-hungry, his nephew Nero will become emperor in a few years. 1422. King Henry V of England is visiting France when he is overtaken by dysentery and succumbs to the ailment. Some folks say French food will do that to a person. But do not fear, the French monarchy has a succession plan, and his son takes the throne and becomes Henry VI. The fact that the younger Henry is only 9 months old does not seem to matter. In English lore, the royal line has a God-given right to rule. The entire idea of a royal line is terribly hard to fathom. Then there's the entire caste system in India. 1864, U.S. General William T. Sherman attacks Atlanta. Sherman may have been one of the most polarizing figures of the Civil War. His scorched earth policy across Georgia and the Carolinas was not the first such plan in that war, nor is it solely his doing. Lincoln and Grant had approved. Lincoln was the president, Grant was the commander of the army. They each understood that the war had to be made personal in order to get the South to surrender and put an end to the fighting. Sherman was living in the Deep South when the war broke out and was vocal that the South did not want to go down the path they were heading. One has to ask themselves exactly what were the Germans, and especially the Japanese, thinking in World War II. All they had to have done was study war and our tactics that were hardly one lifetime distant to see exactly how we would respond. Of course, some in the Japanese military knew that. In 1886, Charleston, South Carolina, is hit with a 7.0 magnitude earthquake. While the eastern United States is not highly active geologically, earthquakes do happen, and they can be strong. Due to the soils and geology of the region, they can be devastating. Ferdinand von Zeppelin patents his balloon in 1895, opening the world to air travel. Thomas Edison opens the world to cinema in 1897 when he receives a patent for the kinetoscope, the first practical movie projector. From the late 40s through the 50s, Arthur Godfrey was a staple on the CBS network, both in radio and television, appearing as many as 9 different shows a week. Godfrey, born on this day in 1903, thought the stuffy announcers of the early days of radio were not in touch with the audience, and he honed his style to be more personal. It worked quite well, and he became in demand. Behind the scenes, he was an ego-driven control freak who was difficult to work with. Eventually, the down-home public image gave way, in part for very public firings of staff. Godfrey might best be remembered for his program, Arthur Godfrey's Talent Scouts, which, much like competitor Ed Sullivan, brought many names to the national spotlight. Some names that appeared on the Talent Scouts were Pat Boone, Tony Bennett, the Blackwood Brothers, Roy Clark, Rosemary Clooney, Ken Berry, Don Knotts, Patsy Cline, and Jonathan Winters. 1907, the Russians and British are carving up the Middle East, or specifically Persia. Russia will get control of the northern regions, and England will get control of the southwest and Afghanistan. Neither of the two wanted to touch Tibet. Composer Alan Lerner is born in 1918. Lerner's name is often paired with Frederick Loewe. Lerner is quoted as saying Loewe wrote the music and he put the words to it. The pair wrote music for a long list of musicals. Hollywood tough guy James Coburn is born in 1928. He will appear in over 70 feature films and 100 television shows over a 45-year career. 1935, the U.S. is trying to stay neutral in the brewing storm that will become World War II. Managing partner and chairman of the St. Louis Cardinals, William DeWitt Jr. is 80 today. A native of St. Louis, It may pain Cardinals fans to know he has or had business interest in Cincinnati, including a part owner in the Cincinnati Reds and Riverfront Stadium. George Ivan Morrison, also known as Van Morrison, is 76. Morrison is born in Belfast, Northern Ireland. His greatest hits include Gloria and A Brown-Eyed Girl. Actor Richard Gere is 72. Gere has appeared in a long list of films over the past 40 years, a list that is almost as long as his list of girlfriends. Rick Roberts is 72 also, a guitarist, songwriter, and singer. While Roberts may not have been a member of a major group, he was seriously on the fringe. A member of the Flying Burrito Brothers and the group Firefall, the Burritos will get him close to the Eagles, and he collaborated with Eagle Randy Meisner on a couple of albums. And that's History and Comments for August the 31st. I'm Doug Terrell. Now go and do something worth remembering.